So the last two problems on tonight's homework are review problems asking us to write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line that passes through 2 points, and then also to solve by elimination. And so let's take a look at the first one. When we have 2 points, we need to first find the slope. So remember, your slope formula goes this way: y minus y1 over x minus x1. So we just take our y values. So we look at this one, and we have a -2 and a 4. Those are the y values. So -2 minus 4, that goes on top. And then I look at the x values. X values are -1 and 1. So since I started with this point here, I need to start with the x value, same point's x value. So -1 minus 1. We go ahead and do that work. Whenever I have a more than one negative sign in the problem, or more than one minus sign, I add the opposite to see what I've got left over. If they're the same sign, I add. So that makes -6. Here I add again -2, and so that reduces down to +3. So there's my slope. Now I use the point slope formula. And all this does for us gives us a way to plug a point in and a slope, and the slope. And we don't need both points. All we need is one point. So I'm going to take this point right here, this -1, -2, and put it in for y1 and x1. Take the 3, put it in for m. So let's rewrite what we've got. Y minus -2 equals 3 times by x minus -1. Anytime we see a minus negative, right away, change it to plus positive. And then distribute. See what's left over. So what we've got is a y plus 2 equals, and then I've got 3x plus 3. Well, one more step there, and that is to isolate the y. I need to subtract 2 from both sides, and we'll have our answer. So there it is, y equals 3x plus 1. Well, same sort of thing on the next problem. Same thing, you got to find the slope. So we'll just take our y values. So remember, our y values are the second number, the 2 and the -1. So 2 minus -1. Leave some room for adding the opposite. Let's see what the x values are. -3 and 3. So -3 take away 3. So people are going to make a mistake by not doing the right operation. Remember, you have to add the opposite, so that means you add. So we get 3. Here we add as well. Add the opposite, same sign. And the next mistake people are going to make is saying the slope is -2. It's not. It's a fraction. The bigger number is on the bottom. So reduce the fraction. Divide by 3. See what's left over. 1 over -2. Same thing as -1 over 2. Most people like to see the slope in that form. So we go ahead and take a point. Doesn't matter which one. I'll take the second one this time. And we just plug it into the point slope formula. Y minus -1 equals -1/2 times by x minus 3. So we do some work there. Remember, add the opposite and distribute. And so in this case, what we're left with is that y plus 1 equals -1/2 x. And then over here, there's no cross-canceling that gets done. -1/2 times -3 over 1. Just multiply across and just leave it like that. It's going to be 3 over 2. Just leave it just as a problem like that. We'll change it in a little bit. So I have to subtract 1. Well, how do I subtract 1? Well, I can treat 1 a bunch of different ways. 1 over 1 is the fraction form, but then I could times by 2 over 2, and that would be 2 over 2. So 2 over 2 is the same thing as -1. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 2 over 2, which is the same thing as 1, and see what I've got left over. Here the 1 cancels out. Y equals -1/2 x, and then here they have the same sign, so I add. So you're just adding those numbers up, and that makes a -5 over, and then keep the same denominator, 2. And they didn't ask us to graph, so you don't have to change that to a mixed number. Leave it just like that. Well, 2 more problems. Here we are asked to solve by elimination. And as I look at this, typically I multiply to be able to multiply one of the equations so I could cancel out. But here, look at these numbers, 2, 6, 8. They are even numbers. Let's do this instead. Let's take this equation and let's divide it by -2. Every number by -2. And that way I can get those y's to cancel. So what I've got left is this, a -y plus 3x equals 4. And I haven't made the problem as big as I could have if I multiplied, so it'll be easier to solve. Get those y's to cancel. This makes 8x, and this all equals 16. You can do some division, and we're left with a 2. So there it is. X is 2, but now you still have to substitute in. Let's use this equation down here. Let's put this 2 back in for that x right there. And so I've got a y plus 5 times by 2 equals 12. Well, that makes 10, so y plus 10 equals 12. And all you have to do is that one step. You just got to subtract that 10 from both sides, and you'll have your answer. So there it is, y equals 2. So we've got 2 comma 2 for the point where the two lines cross. One more example. This one is one in which I'll go ahead and multiply that bottom equation this time by -4, and I can get those y's to cancel. So I'll go ahead and rewrite what I've got. So this becomes a -8x, a -4y, and a positive 32. Let's take this equation, just rewrite it down below. -3x plus 4y equals 12. And from there you can just add that together. So let's see what we end up coming up with here. These add because they are the same signs, so -11x. These cancel because they're opposite signs, and we get a 44. Oh, good deal. We've got a number that 11 goes into. So we do that division. Now make sure you divide by the negative. Watch the sign there. X is equal to -4. Take that -4 and just substitute it. I'm going to put it into this equation right here before I modified it. So it's going to be 2 times by -4 plus y equals -8. So you go ahead and do some work there. And that makes a -8 plus y equals -8. And when you do that opposite operation there to cancel out that constant, you end up having to add 8 to both sides. Well, 8 plus -8 makes 0, so y is 0. So -4, 0 is where the two lines end up crossing. So there's a little review. Good luck on tonight's homework.